unto Yahuwah, for he is great. Yes, he is great. Oh, give thanks unto Yahuwah, for he is great. Yes, he is great. For he is worthy, worthy. For he is great. Yes, he is great. For he is worthy, worthy. For he is great. Yes, he is great. For he is worthy, worthy. For he is great. Yes, he is great. Oh, give thanks unto Yahuwah, for he is great. Yes, he is great. Oh, give thanks unto Yahuwah, for he is great. Yes, he is great. Oh, give thanks unto Yahuwah, for he is great. Yes, he is great. Oh, give thanks unto Yahuwah, for he is great. Yes, he is great. For he is worthy, worthy. For he is great. Yes, he is great. For he is worthy, worthy. For he is great. Yes, he is great. For he is worthy, worthy. For he is great. Yes, he is great. Oh, give thanks unto Yahuwah, for he is great. Yes, he is great. Oh, give thanks unto Yahuwah, for he is great. Yes, he is great. For he is worthy, worthy. For he is great. Yes, he is great. For he is worthy, worthy. For he is great. Yes, he is great. For he is worthy, worthy. For he is great. Yes, he is great. Oh, give thanks unto Yahuwah, for he is great. Yes, he is great. Oh, give thanks unto Yahuwah, for he is great. Yes, he is great. Oh, give thanks unto Yahuwah, for he is great. Yes, he is great. Oh, give thanks unto Yahuwah, for he is great. Yes, he is great. For he is worthy, worthy. He is great. Yes, he is great. For he is worthy, worthy. For he is great. Yes, he is great. For he is worthy, worthy. For he is great. Yes, he is great. For he is worthy, worthy. For he is great. Yes, he is great. Oh, give thanks unto Yahuwah, for he is great. Yes, he is great. Oh, give thanks unto Yahuwah, great. Oh, give thanks unto Yahuwah, for he is great. Yes, he is great. Oh, give thanks unto Yahuwah, for he is great. Yes, he is great. For he is worthy, worthy. For he is great. Yes, he is great. For he is worthy, worthy. For he is great. Yes, he is great. For he is worthy, worthy. For he is great. Yes, he is great. For he is worthy, worthy. For he is great. Yes, he give thanks unto Yahuwah, for he is great. Yes, he is great, for he is worthy, worthy, for he is great. Yes, he is great, for he is worthy, worthy, for he is great. Yes, he is great, for he is worthy, worthy, for he is great. Yes, he is great. Oh, give thanks unto Yahuwah, for he is great. Yes, he is great. Oh, give thanks unto Yahuwah, for he is great. Yes, he is great. For he is worthy, worthy, for he is great. Yes, he is great. For he is worthy, worthy, for he is great. Yes, he is great. For he is worthy, worthy, for he is great. Yes, he is great. For he is worthy, worthy, for he is great. Yes, he is great. Oh, give thanks unto Yahuwah, for he is great. Yes, he is great. Oh, give thanks unto Yahuwah, for he is great. Yes, he is great. Oh, give thanks unto Yahuwah, for he is great. Yes, he is great. Oh, give thanks unto Yahuwah, for he is great. Yes, he is great. For he is worthy, worthy, for he is great. Yes, he is great. For he is worthy, worthy, for he is great. Yes, he is great. For he is worthy, worthy, for he is great. Yes, he is great. For he is worthy, worthy, for he is great. Yes, he is great. For he is worthy, worthy, for he is great. Yes, he is great. Oh, give thanks unto Yahuwah, for he is great. Yes, he is great. Oh, give thanks unto Yahuwah, for he is great. Yes, he is great. Oh, give thanks unto Yahuwah, for he is great. Yes, he is great. Oh, give thanks unto Yahuwah, for he is great. Yes, he is great. For he is worthy, worthy, for he is great. Yes, he is great. For he is worthy, worthy, for he is great. Yes, he is great. For he is worthy, worthy, for he is great. Yes, he is great. For he is worthy, worthy, for he is great. Yes, he is great. For he is worthy, worthy, for he is great. Yes, he is great. Oh, give thanks unto Yahuwah, for he is great. Yes, he is great. Oh, give thanks unto Yahuwah, for he is great. Yes, he is great. Oh, give thanks unto Yahuwah, for he is great. Yes, he is great. Oh, give thanks unto Yahuwah, for he is great. Yes, he is great. For he is worthy, worthy, for he is great. Yes, he is great. For he is To celebrate, commemorate our time of rest, part 2 of our Shabbat class, and maybe for some part 3, because throughout the early part of the Yom, when we are having class, sometime it cuts out. So if it cuts out, stick with us, don't quit us. It is not on our part. It is the internet provider. And anybody knows that when you are speaking truth and when you're doing what you're supposed to, the enemy is going to always try to do it to discourage people and to keep people from listening. And so you got to be able to recognize the enemy when he starts showing up and doing little stupid stuff. So once again, stick with us, don't quit us, pray with us and pray for us as we continue to push forward. At this time, you may be seated in his presence. We want to turn our attention back to chapter 27, verse 31. We left off at verse 30, as Yaakov had just made it out of the presence of Isaac. As he was leaving out, Esau was going in. And said if they would have connected, it would have been a rumble in the jungle. And so that was a miracle within itself, because if it would have just been a few minutes longer, or he would have gotten in a few minutes earlier, it would have been something to have to deal with. But that's how you know it was the will of Abba Yahuwah. Because though it may have been seconds or minutes, they still didn't connect. It was still, they passed by each other. So we want to turn our attention back to we want to turn to chapter 27, verse 31, and we want to read 8 verses. And this is part where we begin to really see many of things fleshed out, where we really, as we look at it, we can really begin to see the importance of what took place. It's more than just, a word being spoken over. It is the actions and the tangibility that follows it. So you have to understand, when these things were spoken in that time, everybody took it literally, and they took it not with a grain of salt, but they took it literally, and they really placed value on the words that were being spoken. And that is something that we need to do as well. We need to value the words that are spoken over our lives, and the words that we are now coming to understand as prophecy then, and even prophecy and some fulfillment in our day and time. Sorry. So it's very important that we take seriously and literally that what is being said. And so as we continue to read this and see it fleshed out, I pray that it encourages us to maintain our stick-to-itiveness, and that we maintain not just people seeing us, but really living the life that we're supposed to. Be hungry and thirsty for it. Yes. Be desirous of the tangibility and the manifestation of his promises over our lives. And so this is important, because once again, we're seeing it as Abraham and Sarah started the ball rolling, per se. Now we're seeing where his son and now his son's sons are picking it up and running with it. And so I pray that this provokes us to be willing to do better and to apply ourselves even the more. Yes. And it is so. And it is so. All right, let's start at verse 31 and read 8 verses, please.
He also had made savory meat and brought it to his father, and said to his Abba, let my Abba arise and eat of his son's game, that your soul may baruch me. And his Abba Yitzchak said to him, who are you? And he said, I am your son, your Bechor, Esau. Then Yitzchak trembled exceedingly and said, where is the one who hunted game and brought it to me, and I ate all of it before you came, and I have baruch him? And indeed he shall be baruch. And when Esau heard the words of his Abba, he cried with an exceedingly great and bitter cry. And he said to his Abba, baruch me even also, O my Abba. But he said, your brother came with craft and has taken away your baruch. And Esau said, is he not rightly named Yaakov? For he has supplanted me these 2 times. He took away my birthright, and now, look, he has taken away my baruch. And he said, have you not reserved a baruch for me? Then Yitzchak answered him and said to Esau, indeed, I have made him your master, and all his brethren have I given to him as servants. With grain and wine I have sustained him. What shall I do now for you, my son? And Esau said to his Abba, have you only one baruch, my Abba? Baruch me even also, my Abba. And Esau lifted his voice and wept, and did so.
And it is so. Starting at 31, reading which read us to chapter 20. This was still in 27. Verse 31. Once again, this is anyone that understands baruching. You can see that this is one of those emotional times for him. But you have to understand, when we don't take seriously what is before us in the beginning, and you dismiss and you push off, then you can't expect to get the benefits. Mm-hmm. See, he wanted to sell what was his. In other words, he didn't take it seriously. And he just felt like, okay, it was just something I said. I really didn't mean it. But you have to understand, what made it valid and what made it legitimate is when he took the soup. Mm-hmm. That was in other words, that was the down payment of it. And so when he ate that, this is what happens. Unless you sign on a dotted line, contracts are not really cannot be really held. Now, people will fight you on a verbal contract. But you got to have witnesses in order for a verbal contract to stand and to be submissible. But the thing of it is, that's really important for us to understand, is that he realized the importance at the end of what he had relinquished and let go. Nobody made him do it. He did that on his own. In other words, never get to a point in your life that you're so vulnerable and you're so weak that you will trade out what's most important for that second or for that moment or whatever it may be, for that what you would get for a lifetime. You follow what I'm saying? And so he wept. Now let's look at what he says in verse 31. He says here, he says, he also had made savory meat and brought it to his Abba and said to his Abba, let my Abba arise and eat his son's game, that your soul may be baruch. Now, once again, let's look at the wording here. When Yaakov went in, Yaakov just presented it to him. But listen to, I don't want to say the roughness or the harshness, but look at how he addresses his Abba versus Yaakov, who comes in a little more, subtle. And kind of look at it with your own siblings when they're addressing and dealing. You follow what I'm saying? And verse 32, and he says, and his Abba Isaac said to him, who are you? And he said, I am your son, your Bechor, firstborn, Esau. Now, once again, Isaac thought that this might be Yaakov, who, having heard that Esau was to be baruch, had also prepared savory meat, that he too might receive a baruch. Now, you have to understand, the importance of understanding a baruch is that it goes to the firstborn. And anything else that follows comes. Now you have to look at when the 12 tribes come. That's something different. Are you following me?
Yes.
But normally, once again, as we read, we're going to see it was for the Bechor to get it, and then whatever was left was understood. This is what you'll get. Now, with that being said, let's look, and it says in verse 33, then Isaac trembled exceedingly and said, where is the one who hunted game and brought it to me? And I ate all of it before you came, and I have baruched him, and he shall be baruched. When Esau heard the words of his Abba, he cried with an exceedingly great and bitter cry and said to his Abba, baruch me even so, O my Abba. Now you have to understand the reason why it is stated that Isaac trembled is because this is the point and the moment, defining moment, that he realizes what has just been done. According to some theologians, it says that that he realized by the Ruach HaKodesh showing him that what was done basically was in order. Are you following me? Because now you have to remember now, he was trying to put the Baruch on Esau when it was already stated that it would not be given to Esau. So now he's trembling because reality sets in and he realizes, no, this was not just talk. This really has happened, and this is prophecy that is being fulfilled. Are you following me? Yes. So this is why he trembled. He didn't tremble because he was cold or because he was afraid of Esau. He trembled because he realizes that that which was spoken and prophesied has come to pass. Yes. It's something about when something is said and the Ruach witnesses to it. Mm-hmm. Now you really start looking and saying, no, this is real. Yeah. This is real. This is reality. Because see, the person he thought he was baruching is not the real person that was baruched. Are you following me? Yes. But the younger brother. Now listen what he says, and he cries bitterly. Now you have to understand, here it is, he didn't went out there, he didn't went hunted. In his mind, he's thinking that now he's about to receive this. But mind you now, he didn't forgot that he sold it. In other words, you don't sell the car and think that the tires don't come with it. Right. You sell a car, now it's one thing if you sell it as is. But he didn't sell it as is. He sold the whole vehicle. When he told him, he said, sell me your birthright. He didn't say sell me just the what I'm looking at for. Servitude or the ordinances or the work that it entails or the service of your birthright. He says, sell me your birthright. In other words, that means the offices, whatever entailed of the offices, along with the baruching that is attached to it. So he thought he was just at that time just selling a position and a status, but he didn't realize with that position and status came benefits and came an inheritance. And I won't even say he didn't realize that. I will say that he was negligent and he didn't care. Because remember, Isaac is the one who calls him and tells him, basically, I don't know how long I'm going to be around, so I need you to go do this so you can be baruched. So now, in other words, it's possibly that in his mind he's thinking, oh, well, maybe it didn't go through. You know, like you think it, what is it, not an email, I'm thinking. Something didn't go through. Are you hearing me? Something that you have to process or you have to push forward. And you think, well, I ain't heard nothing, so maybe it didn't go through. But then later on, you get that call, whatever says, you know, this is what is needed or what was received. So we can see once again, emotions are high because this is a time in his life, I believe, that reality of what he has just lost sets in. Right. Okay. Then it says, he cried bitterly and he said, baruch me, even me also, O my Abba. In other words, that which was left, but you have to remember, once the oldest, unless it is purposed, then there will be continual baruchings. You have to look at the reason why Yaakov's situation was different because he had what? He had more than one wife. Right. That's why his was different. With this, it is understood that if you are second in line, you get what follows or what is left. You don't get a special baruching. Are you following me? Yes. That's one of the things that has to be understood. And so it says,
And then he says, yea, and he shall be Baruch. Now he says in verse, as we look at 33, do not think that Yaakov not deceived his Abba, he would not have been Baruch. In these words, Isaac confirmed the Baruch of his free will. So once again, he's bringing clarity. Now listen at it when he basically says, I have Baruched him, and indeed he shall be Baruched. In other words, I can't reverse it. This has already been spoken, and so I can't reverse it. Now you have to understand, if he couldn't reverse it, neither will Yahuwah reverse what he said over our lives.
Right.
He won't reverse it. This is why, y'all, we have to live up to our life.
Yes.
This is why we got to do what we're supposed to do, because of what he has given unto us, that other life. Are you following me?
Yes.
Very important for us to understand. All right. Now let's look at this. Isaac thereby acknowledged that all of this happened through Rebekah, who knew that Yaakov was the more fitting for the Baruch. It is not likely that after Isaac trembled very exceedingly, he would have, of his own accord, have confirmed the Baruch. What he meant was that he could not revoke his Baruching, for the Ruach HaKodesh had informed him that the Baruch would rest upon Yaakov. This was the reason for his trembling. He knew that his son, whom he esteemed, had lost his Baruch beyond recall. So once again, whenever the Ruach HaKodesh sets things in motion, there's nothing we can do to reverse it or change it.
Right.
It is going to be what it is. And so it's important we understand that. Now, listen what he says. After he said in verse 35, but he said, your brother came with craft and has taken away your Baruching. Now you have to understand, he did go in there in a way that was crafty. He did. And so, but once again, you have to understand, according to this, Isaac did not really know that Esau, and I'm assuming he did not know, that he had sold his birthright. Are you following me?
Yes.
So he's thinking, okay, well, he's, being shiftless, and he coming in here, being crafty. But then he realizes, now watch this, that after the Ruach HaKodesh reveals to him, it was never for Esau to have. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
The reason why this is so important is because sometime throughout our lives, we are still, regardless of what we see and how a person does, we're still trying to push, and we're still trying to make that person or those persons be what they're not. And it's just the truth. No matter how you push, no matter how you try, if it is not for them and it's not in the will of Abba Yahuwah, it's not going to happen. And you can breathe, you can do all day long, and it's still not going to change anything.
That's right.
Are y'all following me?
Yes.
It's tight, but it's right. And so it is important that we understand this. And so, with that being said, he comes back in verse 36. Because even Isaac is saying, well, he came in, with craftiness. But at the same time, you have to understand, when a person speaks out, he in other words, he's admitting to what he has done, but he also understands why it was done. Are you following me?
Yes.
He understands, he admits to why it was done. Now look what it says in verse 36. And Esau says, is he not rightfully or rightly named Yaakov? For he has supplanted me these 2 times. He took away my birthright, and now he has taken he has taken away my Baruch. And he said, have you not reserved a blessing or Baruch for me? Now let's look at this. Let's look at verse 36. For he has supplanted me these 2 times. He took away my birthright. You sold it. Nobody took it from you. When you willfully give up and give something over, you cannot expect to get that what goes with it. Are you following me?
Yes.
It's important that we understand that. And so he felt like, well, he tricked me. No, he did not. Because at any time, I'm not going to sell it, but he didn't want it. He did not want it. Now, then he says, and now he has taken away my Baruch. He didn't take anything away from you. It was not, he didn't deserve it. Are you hearing me? That's just like trying to put a crown over somebody's head and they've not done anything.
Right.
I remember watching a while back, you know how they always have the marathons, and they have sometimes running in New York. I think, yeah, they have like where they would have the marathons in New York sometime. And I remember years ago, this lady, she cheated. She ran, and then this is before they start putting, now they have waypoints where they have people all around the wherever where they're going to be running, wherever the points are, you have to stop at that waypoint. Everybody does. But what she did before they had those things in place, she took the subway. She took the subway. She took the subway and came up and beat everybody. But because there were no waypoints or way stations or no points where they had to stop, nobody could tell. But there were people, after she got crowned and won all of it, said, hey, you know, people start coming forward. We've seen that lady on the subway. We've seen her on the train underground. And so now watch this. When they stripped her of the title, she felt like she was still supposed to hold on to the crown. You cheated. So you keep nothing. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
You are stripped of the crown. You are stripped of the victory. You are stripped of that. So you keep nothing. And so he sold his birthright. He didn't just sell the servitude or the services of it. He sold all of it, even the Baruch. But in his mind, well, because my Abba is calling me, maybe it didn't go through. Maybe this thing will be changed. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Now you have to understand also, even look at what Esau said. He is rightly named Yaakov because he has supplanted me. That means that even they had talked about the younger ruling over the older.
Right.
This had to be discussed, because if not, why would he bring it up in his time of talking with his Abba? Meaning that this was discussed. This was a discussion. And he says, well, basically, he took it. No, he didn't take it. You sold it. He put it out there for a bowl of red pottage or lentil, and you accepted it. You have to understand something. We don't have to sell anything.
Right.
That's the problem. You don't have to sell anything. Nobody can take away what he's given unto us.
That's right.
But you can let it go and relinquish it. And we don't want to do that. Now, and he says, have you not reserved a Baruch for me? Now, this you have to understand is now he's basically wanting to assume the position of Yaakov. Well, I know that if he took my Baruch, I know there had to be something left that you were going to Baruch him with. Because I know you just weren't going to let that go. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
Now listen what he says. Then Isaac answered and said to Esau, indeed, I have made him your master or sovereign. Now you have to understand with this, and even though many come back and say, even as we're going to read, that Isaac still turns around and Baruchs him. But you have to understand, he couldn't do that. Because anytime you make a person sovereign or master over anything or any people, whatever they get becomes theirs. So whatever he would have given him would have still become Yaakov's. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
If he would have given him 10 goats, it would have become who? Yaakov's. Because he made him master or sovereign over it. He said, now, and all his brethren I have given to him as servants, with grain and wine I have sustained him. So in other words, he didn't just baruch him with his mouth, he also gave him the backing of the wealth. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
He didn't just tell him you're going to be this and be that. He basically gave him the backing of the wealth. Because you got to understand, but being baruch is more than just someone speaking words over you. It is also being able to empower you to walk in that position or that status they have just exalted you to. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Very important for us to understand that. Now listen what he says. He said, what shall I do now for you, my son? And he's, the grief, once again, because he really wanted to see him in this position, but it wasn't for him. And Esau said to his Abba, have you only one Baruch, my Abba? Baruch me, even me also, O my Abba. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. Now, once again, it is important that we understand anything he would have tried to Baruch him with, it would have still become Yaakov's. Listen at verse 39. Then Isaac his Abba answered and said to him, Behold, your dwelling shall be away from the fatness of the earth, and of the dew of Shemayim from above. Now, let's look at this, because we already know he was an archer. The Dead Sea Scrolls. There was no Baruch for Esau, as he deserved none by his actions, which Yahuwah knew ahead of time. He was going to mingle with the Arabs and try to kill his Yashraelite Ben, which we now find in Islam as the end times beast tries to destroy Yashrael. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
This is important for us to understand. Very important for us to understand. So you have to look. There was nothing to give to him, because you do not Baruch a person in their era. As I said it before, we do not glamorize sin, and you cannot Baruch a person in their era. That's just like rewarding a child for stealing and being disobedient. Child bring you, especially if they're out and they're in public school, they come with all F's on their report card, and then you take them out to eat.
Right.
We're going out, but it ain't out to eat. We're going to play double dutch. Are you following me? Yes. So you have to understand, you don't reward them, because what you're doing when you reward them is that you are basically agreeing with their actions and their attitude. Right. We can't do that. Are you following me?
Yes.
Very important that we understand you can't do that. I don't care if they're grown. I don't care if they're babies. You can't support those type of actions. Sometimes people get hot with you under the collar, but you have to be willing to say, no, I can't do that, because you're in error. I can't sanction, neither can I agree or support what you've done. So even though he cried and he cried and he cried, there was nothing that Isaac could do to try to salvage what he himself deliberately and knowledgeably did. It wasn't that he was tired and drunk. He knew this. Are you following?
Yes.
He didn't do this in the heat of passion. He did it out of his will because he didn't value it. Are you following me?
Yes.
That's like people talking all crazy about our way of life. No, I don't care how mad I get. I will never denounce who I am. I don't care how mad I get, even get upset with my Cody and my Ak at time. Are you following me? They ain't gonna make me denounce who I am.
Right.
I'm not doing that. Especially now that I know who I am. No. So this is why it's important that we watch our mouths and watch our actions. Never get to a point, but you have to understand the reason why he was at this point in his life is because he didn't value it and because he saw no reason to value it. He didn't want that. And so it wasn't like he twisted his arm. He wanted it. Are you following me?
Yes.
All right. Now this is not what you would consider a Baruch. This is what you consider he is telling him what is already known. Are you following me?
Yes.
He said, your dwelling will be away from the fatness of the earth and of the dew of Shemayim from above. By your sword you shall live, and you shall serve your brother. And it shall come to pass when you become restless that you shall break his yoke from your neck. That's not a Baruch. That's just bringing, basically reiterating and encouraging him. This is reality, and this is what it is. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
And that's what he had to tell him. He couldn't add anything else, or he would have been in trouble. Now, let's look at verse 41. And it says, so Esau hated Yaakov because of the Baruch with which his Abba Baruched him. And Esau said in his heart, the Yamim of mourning for my Abba are at hand. Then I will kill my brother Yaakov. Now you have to understand that's self-hate. That's self-hate in the worst kind of way, because you are angry that he valued what you didn't want, and now that he has it and you realize that it was more to it than what you saw. You know, you thinking it's just going to be serving in a temple, going to Torah class. Are you following me?
Yes.
But it was way more than that. Now he realizes that, and now he's angry. The only person he should have been angry with is himself. But it was already prophesied. Why? Because this was his character in the womb. This is who he was, his makeup in the womb. And so when he got out and grew up, you just seen what was already there. You know, I used to say years ago, until I really learned that when babies are born, you know, babies are born innocent. That's a lie. Babies are not innocent. You know, I mean, they can get up and fight, but they're not innocent. How do you think we got these monsters? They were what? Babies at first.
Right.
How do you think killers came about? They were babies at first.
Right.
They weren't born grown. They were babies. That was in them. And when they grew up, it just continued to manifest and continue to mature in them. Are you following me?
Yes.
And so it's important that we understand it was in him. And so he wanted to kill him. And so once again, you start seeing this. It's amazing. And if you're ever a parent, you start seeing when your siblings, and not siblings, but you start seeing when your children start kind of growing away. You start seeing certain things. And those are things that you look out for. Why? Because if you're not careful, jealousy will pop up in any mishpachah if you don't kill it. It's the truth. It is the truth. It will pop up. And that's why you have to stay on your P's and Q's. You hear me?
Yes.
And as a parent, it's my responsibility to be watchful. To watch, to make sure that thing never rears its head. You have to understand the enemy's going to try. That's his job.
Right.
But you have to be willing to deal with it at its root and at its core.
That's right.
And not let it go. Well, you know, they'll work it out among themselves. And the reason you're shown it is because you're to intervene. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
It's the truth. That's why we're parents. You don't stop being a parent because a person gets older. You just deal with them in a different manner.
That's right.
Are you following me?
Yes.
You know, they're in their own home. And they at there, you calling. You supposed to be at home at 12 o'clock. You calling them. No, you at home, you going, whatever your time is for your house is your house. But if anything, you say, hey, be careful, be mindful, be watchful. Because you still are my children. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
That's important for us to understand. And you got to be willing to hear. And you can't do everybody like that because some people get offended. You say, I just want you to be safe. Okay. Go ahead, somebody crack you over the head, but anywho, that's another story. Are you following me? It's just being concerned. But the bottom line is that he hated him, but you have to look at this as being self-hate. That's self-hate. Because when a person realizes it is of their own accord and their own actions that these things happen, you can't blame anybody but who? Yourself. Yourself. You can't blame nobody else but yourself. Are you following me?
Yes.
All right. Now, let's look at it in this manner. Esau was the deceiver and had planned to kill Yaakov, though it did not work in the womb, and we know that Shaitan was behind this. So either way, it was in his heart to desire to destroy his brother, his twin brother. But it's just sometimes their makeup. They fight over money, they fight, and the number one thing, most of the time they fight over girls. You want to see a brawl? Have two brothers, and the girl is nasty, whorish, and all the rest of that, and she trying to play both of them. And instead of them stopping for a woman, and I ain't endorsing beating up on no woman. Are you hearing me? I don't endorse that. I say take her to your sisters or your mama. Let them deal with it. But she playing both sides. Now, once again, I'm not endorsing this, but she playing both sides, and instead of them stepping back from it and looking at it,
Right.
they'll get mad at each other and start fighting each other. Instead of saying, hold up, wait a minute. Did she just play us both? You know, you have to be careful with stuff like that. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
Now, verse 42. And the words of Esau, her older son, were told to Rivkah. So that means that he said it openly to where it could be heard. And you have to understand, they had plenty of servants. So you had to trust somebody. You were like, okay, now you go, you know I'm going to kill you if you go kill them. But you had them that were loyal. So they went back and told her, look, he is planning to kill Yaakov, her younger son, and said to him, surely your brother Esau comforts himself concerning you by intending to kill you. Like he's just waiting, and he's just simmering like stew. And when the time is right, he's going to do this thing. Right. Now you have to understand the importance of even looking at this, which was which is taking place here. Let me find my notes. Let's look at here. That's verse 42. Look at 41. And he said in his heart, and it said he probably confined this to someone. Otherwise, it would not be known. It means that he was determined. So he probably confided in somebody and said, you see him over there? I'm going to kill him. I'm just waiting for the right time, but he's going to die. And it was told her. You know, because when you have people, and this is why it's great to have people that really do have you as a mishpachah. If they ever catch something like that, they come and say, look, I ain't trying to start no trouble, but this is something you need to be watchful of. You know, you really need to be watchful of this. I mean, you want people in your corner like that's going to say, no, this is something you really do need to know, okay? Very important, because I'm sure you got all that many people around you. Okay, why is he going and grabbing 2 kids? Why is he out there cooking them? Why does he look like why does he have all that on him? You're going to have... There was no way to conceal it when you got all these people moving round about. Are you following me? Yes. And it wasn't at nighttime, and they wasn't walking around with doing the what is it? Dag and Clover. Cloak and dagger. Thank you. Cloak and dagger. Let me looking at me. Cloak and dagger. And so they weren't running around like that. They weren't running around with sheets covering themselves. No, this was openly done. Right. So you have to be careful, like I say. It was done, and so this is what happens. But listen at this. It said, let the young man of mourning of my Abba be at hand. He did not wish to grieve his Abba by taking revenge while he was alive. It was told Rebekah, Esau's intentions were revealed to her. Now, this is what was I won't say interesting, but look what it says. And this is why, once again, we have to understand the writings. And verse 43, she says, now, therefore, my son, obey my voice, arise, flee to my brother Laban in Canaan, and stay with him a few yamim until your brother's fury turns away. It was only supposed to be for a few yamim, because she basically, in her mind, probably thinking by this time, his temper will cool down. We can talk to reason. You hear me? But sometimes things happen in between A and between F. Now, verse 45, until your brother's anger turns away from you and he forgets what you have done to him, then I will send and bring you from there. Now, listen to what she says. Why should I be bereaved also of you both in one yamim? Now, you have to understand what would have happened. There would have been a brawl. Now, this is the whole, this is the scenario. If Esau attacks and you kill him, his children will attack and kill you. This is how you start looking at family brawls. Oh, you want to be trying to fight my uncle. You want to be trying to fight your brother. Now, this is going to come about. Are you following me? Yes. This is how you start saying, you see it every day. You do. When you start seeing cousins, fighting cousins. Why? Because maybe the 2 sisters, the 2 bots get into an argument. Now they're fighting. Well, the children ain't going to stand by, because if one jumps in talking about get off my Ema, then you know the other one like, no, you get off my Ema. Now you got family brawling. You do. And this is how death comes in. Now listen what it says. At that moment, she was endowed with the spirit of prophecy, and she knew that they would both die on the same yom. If Esau slays you, he will be slain by the avenger of blood, your nearest kin. So that meant, watch this, if there was nobody around, she would have to kill her own son. Now y'all following me? Yes. See, you have to understand, there are a lot of things that moved in the manner that they had to move because of the certain scenarios and the things that could have come about if things did not play out the way they were supposed to.
Right.
So she said, I can't do this in no one young. So she said, you have to go. Because who would be the next of kin? Isaac couldn't do it. So that meant she'd have to end up slaying her own son. Don't know Ema want to be in that position, period. Having to take your own child's life. Are you following me?
Yes.
Nobody want to do that. But if it would have rightfully turned, rightfully so, she would have had to do it. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
Very important. Now, as we look at verse 46, and Rivkah said to Isaac, I am disgusted in my life because of the daughters of Heth. If Yaakov takes a wife of the daughters of Heth, like these, who are the daughters of the land, what great is my life to be to me? Now, you have to understand, this was also a means to get Isaac involved without opening up everything that's taking place. He's of age. We need to get him a bride. Because remember, Esau was 40. So now what? Yaakov was 40. They turned 40 at the same time. Just maybe a few minutes, time, just a few minutes difference. But now, she's saying he needs to get him an Isha. Let's not let it be done here. And like I say, being able to do it using discretion and being discreet without openly bringing Isaac in it completely. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
So now she says we need to send him away because he has to do this. Now, rightfully so. Now you ain't got to be telling everything. Well, first of all, I got to tell you what's going on. He trying to kill his brother. You follow what I'm saying? You don't want to spring that off on somebody that's already in their body already. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Days away from departing. And so we can see that now. Once again, this is where we're going to really begin to see things change. And like I said before, you have to understand what was providential. Then you have to understand what was permissive, and then what was his perfect will. Now he has to leave because of what is taking place. Now we get into chapter 28, and we're going to read 9 verses.
Bereshit, chapter 28, starting at verse 1. And Isaac called Yaakov and baruched him and commanded him and said to him, do not take an issue from the daughters of Canaan. Arise, go to Padan Aram to the house of Bethuel, your Ema's Abba, and take an issue for yourself from there, from the daughters of Laban, your Ema's brother. And El Shaddai.
Or Shaddai.
And Shaddai baruch you, and make you bear fruit, and increase you, and you shall become an assembly of peoples, and give you the baruch of Abraham to you and your seed with you, so that you inherit the land of your sojournings, which Yahuwah gave to Abraham. So Isaac sent Yaakov away, and he went to Padan Aram, to Laban, son of Bethuel, the Aramean, the brother of Rivkah, the Ema of Yaakov and Esau. And Esau saw that Isaac had baruched Yaakov and sent him away to Padan Aram to take himself an issue from there, and that as he baruched him, he gave him a command, saying, do not take an issue from the daughters of Canaan. And that Yaakov had obeyed his Abba and his Ema, and had gone to Padan Aram. So Esau saw that the daughters of Canaan did not please his Abba Isaac. And Esau went to Yishmael, and took Mahalath, the daughter of Yishmael, Abraham's son, the sister of Nebiah, to be his issue, besides the wives he had.
And it is so. And it is so. All right, now, let's look at this. Now he leaves. Now, if you notice in the Baruch, when he is baruching him, all right, when he is baruching him, he just doesn't send him away. You have to understand, anytime you went on a trip, especially when you went to Mishpachah home, or Mishpachot, Whenever you went, they never went empty-handed.
Right.
And he baruchs him and commanded him and said to him, "You shall not take an issue from the daughters of Canaan." Now, if you notice, he never reprimanded him. He didn't even bring up what had just happened,
Right.
because he knew what was done was ordained by Abba Yahuwah. Arise, go to Padam Aram, out to the bed of Bethu, your Ema's father, and take yourself an issue from there of the daughters of Laban, your Ema's brother. May the mighty power, Al Shaddai, baruch you and make you. Now watch this. He's just basically reinforcing and saying what he had already said: fruitful and multiply you, that you may be an assembly of people. Are you following me?
Yes.
He's just reiterating this. Now you have to understand, once again, he does not send him away, and give you the Baruch of Abraham to you and your descendants with you, that you may inherit the land in which you are a stranger, which power gave to Abraham. So Isaac sent Yaakov away, and he went to Padam Aram, to Laban the son of Bethuel the Syrian, the brother of Rivkah, the mother of Yaakov and Esau. Now, look at verse 6. We're going to look at this. When Esau saw that Isaac had baruch Yaakov and sent him away to Padan Aram to take himself an issue from there, and that he baruched him, he commanded him, saying, "You shall not take an issue from the daughters of Canaan." And that Yaakov had obeyed his Abba and his Ema, and had gone to Padan Aram. Also, Esau saw that the daughters of Canaan did not please his Abba Isaac. Now you have to understand, there's something right up in there that's missing, right? You think so? You think he is going to look and say, "Well, he sent him away, and and he's not pleased." He already knew he wasn't pleased with the wives that he had. Are y'all following?
Yes.
Now this is where we go into the scroll of Yasher, and where we began to see the undisclosed story and background to this. He baruched him. Now remember, everywhere that Isaac went and everywhere Abraham went, they always had enough of everything. They never went anywhere without being able to baruch the home or to baruch the place they went. Why? Because that was how people determined, how powerful they were. On his way, now mind you, just like Rivkah said, she said, if they began to fight and Yaakov kills Esau, his children. She's not speaking futuristically. She's speaking in terms of right then and there, because Esau had children, around about 15, 12, and so forth. And so when he leaves, Esau doesn't leave, but Esau sends his 15-year-old son with his group, because he was well skilled with the bow. He sends him after him. So now while he's on his way with everything he has, his 15-year-old nephew with all of his people rob him. And they take everything he has. And the reason why he doesn't kill him is because you have to understand, Yaakov has the gift of gab. In other words, he has the gift to talk. And so he's talking, and he's basically negotiating with him. Look at all the stuff you can have. Why take my life? You can have all this: the gold, the silver, the flocks. Look how wealthy it would make your Abba. It would be better, more beneficial to you just to take all the stuff. So he takes all the stuff and he leaves Yaakov with nothing but the clothes on his back. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
So now when he gets to his place, he has nothing to offer. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
It's bad, but at times, if you understand the character and you understand a people, you know that his Ema knew her people. Isaac knew the people, because I'm sure that her and Isaac spoke about he has to have some type of substance, because if she was telling the truth, my brother's greedy. He is. All you have to do is look at how he did Yaakov. He was greedy. And so by him being stripped of his wealth and only had that what was on his back, and then he had to disclose why he was there, Laban took advantage of it. He took advantage of it. And by him being able to do that, you have to understand, once again, money is power. And when you are able to not flex, but show that you have something, and that when you get there, you have something to contribute, people are not so quick to try to overrun you and try to overtake you.
Right.
See, because your wealth represents where you come from.
Right.
And because it was taken from him, now he's gonna see what it feels like to have something taken from him. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
He's gonna see what that feels like. And I believe the reason why he ends up getting this done to him is not because of what he did to Yaakov, but because he lied to Isaac. He lied about being the eldest son. Every time he asked him, he kept saying, I. So he lied. Are you following me?
Yes.
He lied. And so I believe that is why he ended up suffering the way he did, because he lied to the one that had the ability to baruch him. All right. Let's look at verse 8. And Esau saw that the daughters of Canaan did not please his Abba Isaac. Excuse me. Because the idolatry does not please Yahuwah's people. We don't want to see all that. And this is why when we get to dealing with people and we start expressing ourselves and we talk about Christianity, and people trying to figure out why, when we tell people, don't call him by them titles. You know that is not his name. Don't do that. Right. Then people want to argue and debate. You start thinking, if you were truly sold out and a Habdim, you know this name does not connect with him, so why are you still throwing it around?
Right.
Why are you even still trying to force it and use it? So you get to a point where you start thinking, no, I don't want to hear that. I can't even listen to songs. And there are songs that I truly ahab, or I used to ahab. They have great meanings. Like that one by Kim Burrell, I come to you more than I give. And that girl can sing. She could sing potato chips. She is just a natural singer. But she, in that point of the song where she is referring to, God and Jesus, that's a turnoff. But I ahab the song because it's talking about how we do. Sometimes we go more to him than we give. We always going with our hands out, asking you for more. And so, and she says, more than I give to you. And then she says, I'm sorry, give me another chance. Oh, bye. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
I ahab it, but it's just that part when she gets there that I'm like, but I'm not talking to this person. I'm talking to Yahuwah. And so it's hard to take that song and really listen to it like I want to without skipping that part. Because like I say, if you ever heard the song, you understand. And if you understand that, you know that I come to him. I go to you more than I give to you. Because no matter how we try to outdo him, we never will be able to. Are you following me?
Yes.
And so, like I said, so you get to a point where you don't like those songs because this is not speaking of him. This is speaking of in reference to somebody else. Are you following me?
Yes.
Verse 9. So Esau went to Yashmael and took Mahalath, the daughter of Yashmael, Abraham's son, the sister of Nabat, to be his Isha, in addition to the Ishas he had. Now you have to understand something. He went to Ishmael's house. By this time, it says Ishmael or Yashmael has already deceased. So he goes to his son. Are you hearing me? Which would still be his cousin, and he marries her. Now you have to understand that's whose brother?
Abraham.
Isaac's. Thank you. Now you go. It's like he goes from bad to worse. You go to Isaac's brother family and pull you away. Well, I know he don't like these, so I'm sure you really ain't gonna like these. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Because he didn't want to have anything to do with going in the path that was ordained by Abba Yahuwah. Now, once again, I will say it. I said in the beginning, I will say it again. When you look at Laban was not a European man. His name means, from what I've heard, many people say, and I've even seen it, white. But that doesn't mean that he was white. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
That's status. I said it earlier. When you look at the Moors had, they were called free white men. They were called free white men.
That's right.
They were not white men, though.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a saying that supports or shows their status. So we can also see that this was a status. But Edomites are not the European or the Caucasian people.
No, that's right.
That's not them. And so it's important that we establish that. And so once again, it's very important that we establish that so that we can continue to follow along the lines of what is taking place here. But he goes to his uncle's house instead of his Ema's family. He says he's going to go the different direction. Are you following me? And this is why even in the writings, and as we continue to read, I believe it's in Shema, where they are traveling and they're given specific instructions, and even in Debitum, not to attack who? The Edomites. Said because they're who? They're your brother. Ain't no European people are brothers. Them people ain't our family. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
And if we continue to say that, we continue to try to put them in the bloodline. They're not in the bloodline.
Right. That's right.
Are you following me?
Yes.
I mean, I know a lot of people don't like it, and that's fine. But it is what it is, and they are not. And I refuse to put them in the bloodline.
That's right.
I refuse to try to make them a part of something they are not.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's important that we understand that. But he sends him, but he goes. Now you have to understand, he does this right after he hears that Yaakov is leaving. And you have to understand, people can be malicious. And I say this because it's the truth. Sometimes the person that can be the most malicious person in your life is somebody that's in your mishpachah. When they're not regenerated, when they're not walking in truth, they can be some of the ones that will be doing everything within their powers, like to crush you. They don't want to break your heart. They want to crush your heart.
Right.
Then they want to pick it up and scatter it to the four winds and let it blow and blow. You follow me? Blowing the winds for it never to be recovered again. You have to understand that. And these are things that they did. And these are things that we see. And you have to, and it is what it is. Are you following me?
Yes.
But we have to raise up and say, I'm going to be better, because I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do you like you do me. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
It's very important for us to understand that. All right. Now, we've established this. Now let us turn our attention to Malachi. Malachi, our Haftorah portions of the Toldot. Malachi chapter 1 and 2. One and 1. We're going to start at chapter 1. We'll begin at verse 1. And we'll read chapter 2 to verse. Y'all with me?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. $9.57. And it is up. All right, come on, read for me.
Eight verses.
Let's do 6, because it's only 14 verses.
Malachi chapter 1, starting at verse 1. An oracle. The word of Yahuwah to Yahshua through Malachi. I have ahabbed you, says Yahuwah. But you ask, have you ahabbed us? Wasn't Esau Yaakov's brother? This is Yahuwah's declaration. Even so, I ahabbed Yaakov, but I hated Esau. I turned his mountains into a wasteland and gave his inheritance to the desert jackals. Though Edom says, we have been devastated, but we will rebuild the ruins. Yahuwah of hosts says this, they may build, but I will demolish. They will be called a wicked country, and the people Yahuwah has cursed forever. Your own eyes will see this, and you yourselves will say, Yahuwah is great, even beyond the borders of Yasharal. A son esteems his Abba, and a servant of his master. But if I am an Abba, where is my esteem? And if I am a master, where is your fear of me? Says Yahuwah of hosts, to you priests who despise my name. Yet you ask, how have we despised your name? And it is so.
And it is so. Now we're looking at the prophet Malachi, who is bringing forth this word to Yahshua. Are you following me?
Yes.
You got to understand, like I say, Yahuwah is deep, y'all. He is. You hear the words he's speaking. Sometimes I think a lot of stuff go over our heads. But when you listen at how he deals with us as a people, you cannot lock him into one specific mode. Because if you do, you're going to miss him.
Yes.
The burden of the word of Yahuwah to Yashrael by Malachi. I have ahabed you, said Yahuwah, yet you say, wherein hast thou ahabed us? Was not Esau Yaakov's brother, said Yahuwah, yet I ahabed Yaakov? Now you have to understand, why would he say that? They come from the same womb. They actually were in the same placenta. He said, now, that close, what, about maybe a minute apart? In other words, he's giving he's paralleling this and said, yes, I ahabed him, but I hated the other, even though they were from the same parents and from the same womb.
Right.
Very important for us to understand that. Now, once again, let's look at burden. That which was entrusted to him to carry to the children of Yasharal. The word signifies a prophecy to carry to them, to bring them to a place, really, now understand there's open shame for their actions. That's why it's important that we open ourselves up and listen. Y'all follow me?
Yes.
I ahabed Yaakov, as evidenced by my promising the land to him and not to Esau. This is how it's shown. It is shown through actions. Not just he said it with his mouth, but he backed it up. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Yes.
Esau I hated because of his and his descendants' wickedness. For that reason, I would not let him share the Kadesh land with Yaakov, but gave him Mount Seir instead. When his children ill-treated the Yashraelites and rejoiced over their misfortune, I hated them. Now you have to understand, that's a strong word.
Right.
He didn't even say that about Hadam. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
And he got the ball rolling for a lot of stuff that happened. But he never said that about him. Those are very strong words. This is why we have to be careful, even how we deal with one another.
Right.
Because if we attack one another and we put each other in positions of misfortune or rejoice over our misfortune, do you not know you can put yourself in a seat to be in trouble?
Yes.
That's why we have to be careful how we do things. Very important. Made his mountains a desolation, though Yasharal's land had also been made desolate. Now, once again, Yasharal's land had been made desolate. It was rehabited, and the people returned to it. But Esau's land will remain a desolation permanently, and the inhabitants will never return. This is why I believe that when we look at certain places, it's a desert, it's a mess. You're thinking, who would want that? It's desolate. Why? Because of all the stuff that had taken place. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
Whereas beaten down. And if Edom should say, we are impoverished, yet we will return, etc. Meaning beat down, whereas beat down. The border of wickedness, their land is destroyed because of their great wickedness. I commanded Yasharal not to abhor the Edomite, because he was his brother, being descendants from Esau, yet the Edomites rejoiced at Yasharal's downfall. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
He said, I told him that, he said, but they rejoiced. They thought it was funny. They thought it was something to rejoice about. Not so. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
Not so at all. So we have to be, once again, we have to really pay close attention to that. Now it says, Yahuwah is great beyond the border of Yasharal. And yes, ye who dwell within the border of Yasharal, in contrast to Edom, will say, Yahuwah is great. Now, once again, he is speaking to them. He's speaking to them. He's bringing them basically to a place of reality. to look at themselves from their position that they're in. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right. Verse 6, he says, O priests, they are specifically addressed because they should have reproved the people for despising Yahuwah's name, instead of which they were guilty of it themselves. You despise the name, you despise the actions, and so therefore. And this is why, once again, when you look at it, when he's talking to the priests, this is why you have to understand when, as Yahuwah is raising up, and as he is maturing leaders,
Yes.
teachers of mores and morals, it is important that if one comes to you and you know they're living right and correct you, you better stand and accept the correction.
Right.
And the reason I'm saying that is because if you're not corrected and you walk away and leave out of here, and none of us correct you, we're going to be held accountable for that, but you are too. So it's important that we understand this. They fell into trouble because what? Because the priests, the people that were in authority and in position, didn't regard it. Now, it's important that we understand, like I said, what I'm saying here. Because many times people say, well, if they ain't living right, everybody ain't living wrong.
Right. That's right.
Some of us really do cry out to Abba Yahuwah to remain and to do right. And really do believe in Yahush the son of Nun, chapters 1, 7, and 8, and adhere to it on a day-to-day basis. Right. So it's important that we understand, just because you may have seen a few bad apples don't mean the whole tree is messed up.
Right.
That's important for us to understand, because there are those of us out there that really do seek him, and we're only going to say what he says to us when it's time to say so. Right. That's important for us to really understand. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Very important for us to understand. So he's getting on the priests for their actions, because their actions help to secure the actions of the people. We don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. And I've said it, I'll say it again. If you're unsure about a thing, then move out the way and pray. Don't get up there and just be doing something because you think you're qualified. Do y'all hear me?
Yes.
You do, you're going to be in trouble. All right. Let's read. Let's start at verse 7.
Ye offer polluted bread upon mine altar, and you say, wherein have we polluted it? And that you say, the table of Yahuwah is contemptible. And if you offer the blind for sacrifice, is it not evil? Mm-hmm. And if you offer the lame and sick, is it not evil? Offer it now unto the governor. Will he be pleased with thee, or accept thy person? Said Yahuwah of hosts. And now I pray you, beseech Yahuwah, that he will be gracious unto us. This has been by your means. Will he regard your persons? Says Yahuwah of hosts. Who is there even among you that would shut the doors for naught? Neither do you kindle fire on mine altar for naught. I have no pleasure in you, says Yahuwah of hosts. Neither will I accept an offering at your hands. For from the rising of the sun, even until the going down of the same, my name shall be great among the Gentiles, and in every place incense shall be offered unto my name. And the pure offering for my name shall be great among the heathen, saith Yahuwah of hosts. But you have profaned it, that ye say, the table of Yahuwah is polluted, and the fruit thereof, even his meat, is contemptible. And it is so.
And it is so. You read all the way to verse 14? 13. Okay. Go ahead and read 14. That'll close it out.
But cursed be the deceiver, which has in his flock a male, and voweth a sacrifice unto Yahuwah, a corrupt thing. For I am a great king, says Yahuwah of hosts, and my name is dreadful among the heathen. And it is so.
And it is so among the nations. All right, we're going to start at verse 7. Let's go back to verse 6 real quick. The table of Yahuwah is contemptible. The table is the altar. The priest regarded it as contemptible because the blood and the fat of the animals, which they held of no account, were offered upon it. They did not try to understand why Yahuwah ordered these to be offered upon the altar. Doesn't that sound just like today?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
With people without understanding, and now they want to come up with this because we ain't supposed to do this. We know we ain't supposed to eat fat. We know we ain't supposed to eat blood. We know we're not supposed to do that, but now we ain't supposed to eat meat. You follow what I'm saying? So you got all these things up there, and these are things that are spoken about. But let's look at verse 6. A son esteemeth his Abba, and a servant his master. If then I be a Abba, where is my esteem? And if I be a master, where is my fear? Saith Yahuwah of hosts. He's asking them. You have to understand the reason why people will not fear, even will not fear Yahuwah, is because if they don't see us fearing him. They don't see us reverencing him. The problem came in, the priests did not fear what they said, and they did not fear what they did.
Right.
When you get to a point where you feel like you and Yahuwah are homies, that's a problem.
Right.
I'm serious. That's a major problem because you've lost all respect for him and you've lost boundaries.
Right.
Because now you feel like you can approach him anyway, anytime, and do whatever you want, say whatever you want. That's not so. Not so at all. So we have to keep him lifted up and keep that reverence. So when people see, they know, no, you have to understand, we don't play with him. We don't play with his name, and we don't play with him because he's not a toy.
Right.
And we just don't approach him any kind of way. That's important for us to understand. And when people see us reverencing him, then guess what? They will look and say, there has to be, they're reverencing him. There's a reason why they reverence him. Are you following me?
Yes.
It's very important for us to understand that. Now, we look at verse 7, it says, you offer defiled lakim upon my altar, and you say, wherein have we defiled you? In that you say the table of Yahuwah is contemptible. That's verse 7. Once again, why? Because that which was offered on it. They felt like they were, that, no, we shouldn't be doing this. You start thinking, if he said do it, that's what he means. Verse 8, and if you offer the blind for sacrifice, is it not evil? And if you offer the lame and sick, is it not evil? Offer it now to your governor. Will he be pleased with you or accept your person? Says Yahuwah of hosts. Now, once again, I tell you, Yahuwah is deep. He hits you right where you are. He hits us right where we are. Now, once again, he said, look, if they don't want it, then why do you think I want it?
That's right.
Why do you think I want that? He's basically showing them. He said, it is evil. But he said it's not evil in your eyes. You tell the worshipers that such animals are acceptable. It is no evil. Will you accept any person? Will he grant your request? In other words, they're saying, oh, it's all right. Bring whatever you want. If they blind, that's all right. Who's gonna know? They sickly. Come on, bring them, because you just trying to get your offering up there. Long as they got the better, that's all that mattered. But what they offer to Yahuwah, he's saying no. He's saying, is this not evil that you would take the worst, the blind, the lame? Now you have to understand the reason why they were producing lame and blind is what? Because sin entered in. Yeah. As long as they were not walking in error, you start being evil and doing evil stuff, you tend to what? Neglect certain things. And this is what happened. They began to neglect certain things. And so in their neglecting of these things, guess what happened? They started producing things that showed their neglect. They're neglecting their animals and what they were supposed to do. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Very important for us to understand that when you start falling away, you start neglecting. And when you start neglecting, you're going to see the results of it.
Right. And
this is why we start seeing this. And he said, now they're not going to accept it, then don't try to push this off on me. Verse 9, and now I pray you beseech power that he will be merciful to us. This has been your means. He will regard your person, says Yahuwah of hosts. Now listen what he says in verse 10. Who is there even among you that would shut the doors for nothing? He's asking them a question. Neither do you kindle fire on my altar for nothing. I have no pleasure in you, says Yahuwah of hosts. Neither will I accept any offering at your hand, because of the way they were doing things. Are you hearing me?
yes.
We have to be careful of how we entreat Abba Yahuwah. You have to understand, Yahuwah is not like man, so you can't do him like that. We can't be wishy-washy.
Right.
Yes. Are you following me?
Yes.
Very important. We cannot be wishy-washy with him. Entreat the esteem